Folks, I can't keep track. Hopefully you can, but that's a good thing. The commitments are coming in fast and furious in Lincoln. Huskers live right here at the Voice of College Football every Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern. It's 6 Central. That means Greg Peterson's here to break it down for us, have a conversation on Nebraska football. Greg, what's going on?
Not a lot, just kind of wrapping up recruiting cycle here before the dead period, and Nebraska's been doing pretty well. So a lot of good news for Husker Nation.
All right. I'm going to throw you names, and unless you want to go in some particular order, I'm going to go with the guys that have committed in the last week here. How's that sound?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, we've got a wide receiver coming out of Bellevue West that I know that you're very familiar with, 6'1", 180, and Devon Hall, roughly a top 50-55 wide receiver in the country.
Yeah, actually two of them from Bellevue West. But, Devon is actually –
okay.
It's actually Devon. We've been calling him Devon for like 4 years now, and he actually corrected us when we saw him last about a month and a half ago. But, Devon Hall has always been a heck of a good-looking kid. And, he's already got a full-grown man body going with him. And he's got the total package. He's a track guy. And, he can run, he can catch, he can block. I mean, he is really the total package, and that's why he was nationally recruited. But he decided to stay home here this week with his teammate and make it a trifecta of Bellevue West 2024 commitments. So that's pretty good. I mean, he's, you kind of thought when we first were introduced to him when he was in 9th grade, he always wanted to come to Nebraska. You knew that. His head coach, Michael Huffman, always wanted him to go to Nebraska, even though, he doesn't pressure his kids to go anywhere. But always thought he was Nebraska material. And, he got an offer early on. And it's, been a long time coming. I mean, he's had an offer since he was in 9th grade. So, he finally pulled the trigger. And, Oregon was suiting him pretty hard. And some other big-time Power 5 programs, but he decided that he wants to stay here, and Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield have really convinced him with what they're doing here at Nebraska with the passing game. So great news for Nebraska fans, and you're dominating the in-state. I mean, so we'll get to after we talk about some of these other guys.
Devon Hall caught 62 passes last year, almost 1,000 yards, 974, about 15 yards per catch, 11 touchdowns, caught an 80-yarder. And as a sophomore, the year before, he had 43 catches, about 14 yards per catch, 9 touchdowns. So he has scored 22 career touchdowns. So that's
you have to take into account too that he's been playing in this offense. That he was coming up with the likes of Xavier Betts, who's a current Husker wide receiver from Bellevue West, and Cade Johnson, who started Iowa and is went into the transfer portal after this season, who is definitely NFL material. So Bellevue West churns out wide receivers like crazy, and so some of those numbers, I mean, they spread the ball around. So, if you're getting prolific numbers in that offense, then you're doing something pretty good.
We'll throw some more numbers at everybody because we've got another good one in Isaiah McMorris out of Bellevue as well. He caught 90 last year for 1297.
As a newcomer.
14 yards per catch, 14 touchdowns.
He was a transfer. He transferred over
from Omaha, correct?
From Omaha North. And like I was just saying about Coach Huffman's offense. I mean, it's a very wide receiver friendly, quarterback friendly offense. And, he decided that he should probably make a step to a different place just to highlight his skill set. And, like Devon Hall, he's another speedster. He's a track guy. They're both right up there ranked, in the 40 and the 100-yard dash in the top 5, top 10 of the whole state. And yeah, he's a smaller guy, but he's electric. He really is. He kind of reminds me of a Tyreek Hill type of a player. He's got that kind of, shake and bake to him where, you get him the ball in space and he's gone. So 2 big time gets. I mean, USC was hot and heavy on Isaiah, and again, a lot of other Power 5 programs that had offered over the last season or so. And so that's a huge 1-2 punch right there to start off basically the recruiting weekend, last Thursday. So really, really good for Nebraska and Matt Rule. And, the way Matt Rule's kind of mended the fences with all the Nebraska high school coaches right now, which were kind of, I wouldn't say they were burned or anything like that, but they were kind of on the ropes a little bit with the previous staff and not really paying that much attention to the in-state talent. And, you see these guys that, I mean, we talked to them, like a month ago, both of them. And, we'd asked them if they were a package deal, and it didn't really come off that way. But obviously they both wanted to stay at home and believe in what Matt Rule and his staff is building here at Nebraska, which is, I mean, based on the culture. And, that culture starts with the players that you recruit.
KEWAN Lacy is not staying at home despite a lot of offers down his way. I got to think his ranking is going to go way up because his offer list is extremely impressive.
Oh, man. What, about 15, 20 Power 5 offers?
Yeah, coming out of Lancaster, Texas, KEWAN Lacy only had 70 carries last year. I don't know what the story is there. I don't know if he got banged up.
Yeah, he had injury issues last season.
So KEWAN Lacy would be the next at running back. And yeah, his offer list, you're talking about Arizona State, Baylor, Alabama, Arkansas,
Texas,
Cal, Boston College, Cincinnati, Florida State, Houston, Miami, Michigan State, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Oregon, Penn State, Purdue, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Wisconsin. Goodness.
Yeah,
I guess he can play.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard him compared to Marshall Falk type of a player. Maybe a little bit bigger. I mean, he can run really well inside as well as outside. He's going to make guys miss. He doesn't shy away from contact at all. And he's another speedster type guy. And we've been talking about Matt Rule down in Texas so much that, I mean, Texas and Nebraska right now are dueling for the top, amount of commits in this class right now. It's Nebraska and Texas neck and neck. But yeah, this kid can play, and obviously a lot of guys, a lot of head coaches in the college ranks that have really taken notice to KEWAN. And you know what? Matt Rule, Marcus Satterfield, those guys came in and closed the deal on him. He's here. He was here on a visit, and he fell in love with not just the whole place, but the coaching staff and the culture was the right fit for him. So yeah, you're right when you said that. I think that his rankings will definitely take a bump because he is that highly coveted of a recruit in this 2024 class. And, that's another big statement that Nebraska makes in the state of Texas right there. So you really got to like what they're doing right now.
Yeah, those offers just jump off the screen. My goodness.
Yeah, there's too many to read. seriously, I mean, we'd be here all night if we read the whole list. But yeah, I mean, he's a dude. He really is, and it'll be cool to see. Once he gets in and starts getting on a proper nutrition program. Not to say he's not now. I don't know. But once they get a hold of him in the strength and conditioning program here, this kid could turn out to be a monster. Really could.
Well, Landon Davidson's already on his way to becoming a monster because he's a big offensive lineman. And his commitment list isn't necessarily KEWAN Lacy's, but it's darn impressive with Washington State, Oregon State, Kansas, Iowa State, Colorado coming in. And this is a player out of Broomfield. He's an offensive tackle at 6'4", 308. So he's already pretty well filled out of Broomfield, Colorado.
Yeah, we actually talked about him last week. But yeah.
Oh, that's right. We just got him in, on the 20th. So, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, but another big body that you're adding to that offensive line, obviously, a position of need, with what the numbers they have on there right now, even though they like what they have. Obviously, that the offensive line can turn into a mash unit at any time. So you always need a lot of bodies, but that's a big body they're adding into that group. I think he's probably a guard though, moving forward, but we'll see.
One that came in just after, probably the day after we got off the air last week, would be Donovan Jones.
Yeah.
Athlete out of Omaha, 6'1", 185.
Yeah, Omaha North High School. Yep. Another powerhouse program here. They've been down a few years. But head coach Larry Martin's probably the best in the business at Omaha North, and several state titles under his belt. And Donovan Jones is a heck of a good-looking player. He's a corner. Could probably play safety as well. Definitely nickel would be a really good fit in the nickel. But yeah, he's got good size at 6 foot, about 190, and he can run again. This is the theme that we always hear here with this Matt Rule recruiting class. You better be able to run. And what was that? What was that old Bobby Bowden quote? Speed. If you don't have it, you're chasing it. So, that's what Matt Rule kind of follows right now. So, yeah, another really good looking athlete. And you see how Nebraska, Matt Rule and his staff are really making an impression, not only in the Omaha metro area, but the entire state.
All right, we keep it rolling because Matt Rule has kept it rolling here with Quinn Clark would be the next in line, and that one just came in on Tuesday as a wide receiver out of Montana.
That was today, Mark.
The 27th. Okay, I was thinking it was the 28th. Tuesday, yes. That's how we do that in the broadcast business, because this is going to be on the shelf for the next week, Greg. We just say Tuesday, meaning it's Tuesday.
No, I use that in my scripts all the time. But no, Quinn Clark, he's a legacy. A lot of old Husker fans will remember I-back Kenny Clark. Yeah, that's Ken Clark's son.
Okay.
And he is the number 1 ranked prospect in the state of Montana for the 2024 class. He's a wide receiver, 6'5", 195 pounds. So, he's looks a lot like a Malachi Coleman type of a guy that, is on Nebraska's roster right now. Another guy that's a very dynamic athlete, obviously has a football background and pedigree. And, I don't think any Husker fan would be shocked that a former I-back's son is going to come and play at Nebraska, no matter where they live right now. So yeah, that was the latest commit in the class, and he's definitely he's gonna fit in. We'll see how he fits in. But obviously, you know, he's a Husker at heart, and you know, he'll be. I think he'll be a good player down the road. Might take him a couple of years to get on the field, but yeah.
Folks, we're not done. Rex Guthrie, a safety. He came in here. This was just on Monday or yesterday.
Yep.
61200. Rex Guthrie out of Colorado as well. Littleton.
Yeah, Littleton, Colorado, and this guy is a big time track guy. Okay, he plays safety. And I think he had 177 tackles last season, 3 interceptions, like 15 or 16 pass breakups. So you know he can play football, but he is a big time track guy. He runs a 4.4 340 and an 11 flat 100. So, you know, another guy, like we keep saying, that fits right in there with that Matt Rule mold of guys that, you know, you're going to get guys that can run, and you're going to make guys try to catch you. And he, you know, he joins a loaded room right now of defensive back commits too. I mean, they're loading up right now. So, you know, another guy that's ranked. I think he's about the number 4th ranked player in Colorado, something like that. I might be wrong on that, but I'm just trying to go off of what I was reading earlier. But you know, another really good looking kid that, boy, you know, you're doing good to get you're getting multiple prospects out of the state of Colorado. You've got a bunch out of Texas already. And you got a bunch out of Nebraska and a few of the other states close by. So, you know, you're protecting your borders, and you're using that 500-mile radius to your advantage. And yeah, you know, adding all these, Nebraska is now up to 20 commits for this class. And On3 has them ranked as the 24th best recruiting class in the country right now, and 5th in the Big Ten. So, yeah, this has been a really, really good end of June for Matt Rule and his staff, you know, to end up, you know, when the dead period starts here in a couple of days. And then it's mandatory vacation time. He makes sure that all of his coaches have 3 weeks of vacation time now to spend with their families and just get away from football completely.
Yeah, you were on it when it comes to those Rex Guthrie stats. I'll add one as well. 106 tackles.
Yeah. I mean, that's for a high school for 12 game, you know, if you played 12 game. I mean, usually 9 game, but if you're good, you know, you get in the playoffs. But that's pretty darn good for high school stats. You know, he's a ball hawk, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, he's a ball hawk, and he doesn't shy away from contact, and absolutely.
And plus, I mean, we haven't even mentioned, you know, they added some really quality walk-ons too over the last weekend or so. I mean, you know, they added from Cross County, Nebraska here. That's Cross County High School. It's kind of a about 3 towns feed that school. But they picked up a fullback by the name of Isaac Dickey. And, you know, this guy is a true fullback looking dude. And so that's kind of cool to see. And, you know, we'll see how much they actually use a fullback in their offense here moving forward. But at least you're getting a guy that kind of fits that mold of old school Nebraska fullback type guys that, you know, we could name off all kinds of legends at that position. But then they also got a quarterback out of Iowa Western community college, right across the river here in Council Bluffs. And he's another former Bellevue West quarterback at Luke Longville. So they add a little bit more depth to that room after, obviously they lost, Casey Thompson moved on and Logan Smothers moved on. So, that's another body into that quarterback room. And then the most intriguing one to me is Cooper Wilson. And he comes out of the state of Washington. He's a wide receiver type. He's an athlete. But he is the 100-meter yard dash state champion in the state of Washington from this year. He ran a 10.67 100. And he was going to go to Montana. He was planning on going to Montana until he came for a visit here, and he fell in love with the place and decided to walk on. So that's a pretty big get in my mind right there, because you're still building your walk-on class, because Matt Rule embraces that tradition here. So no, you had 3 more quality athletes to your team, just on the walk-on list over the weekend. So yeah, they're really doing work here before they get their time off, their well-deserved time off.
Talking Huskers with all of you each and every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central, right here at the Voice of College Football, GBR. We've got a full day for all of you tomorrow with Ohio State, Oklahoma, Michigan, Florida State, and Miami. So check out those shows as well. And also, we can benefit your business with a sponsorship. So look us up there. Hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. We can tell you all the ways that we can help and grow and expand your business with a sponsorship partnership. All right. Greg has done some serious work here, running down all these commits. Leave those comments and questions there in the chat. We will get to them. Win projections. We've covered that about 1 million times. Some people are looking for win projections. Greg just wants to take a trip this holiday season.
I think we do have to mention, though, as we're talking recruiting right now, that the biggest fish in the state is going to announce his place tomorrow.
Mr. Nelson.
Carter Nelson. Yeah, the tight end out of Ainsworth.
Did you say tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's set to announce tomorrow. And, like we've been talking about this huge recruiting weekend that Nebraska just had, he was there as well. And before this visit, I think the national thought on Carter Nelson was that he was going to go to Georgia because that was his last official visit, and had a really good visit. But things have obviously changed quite a bit after his visit here this weekend. He's been here many times. It's not like his first time here. But he decided yesterday, he announced yesterday that he was going to make his decision tomorrow. So in the professional circles, Nebraska has jumped Georgia in the commit of Carter Nelson, who, if people aren't aware, he is a top 4 tight end in the country. He's a top 50 consensus player in the country. Top 50 to 100, depending on what service you're following. And, this is a kid that Nick Saban came to Omaha to watch run track here last month. That's how highly recruited Carter Nelson is. Georgia, Alabama, Notre Dame, Nebraska were in his top tier. But it's pretty much down to Georgia and Nebraska. Nebraska now seems like a heavy lean. So, we'll be paying attention tomorrow to see what Carter decides.
Yeah, and our buddy in the chat reminded me that we did run a poll just a couple of days ago because I was curious about the level of satisfaction for Husker fans in regards to how things are currently going. Now, since I threw that out there, they've gotten a couple more commits because that was 2 to 3 days ago. And at that point, 315 votes, a resounding 88% say yes, we are satisfied with Nebraska's current 2024 recruiting efforts. The people have spoken.
And if they land Carter Nelson tomorrow, that means that Nebraska has the top 5 recruits in the state. And I can't remember the last time you could say that. So that's pretty good in my mind. I think they are doing pretty well. Like I said, I think the coaching staff is just their demeanor is just completely different than any of the other past staffs that I can ever even imagine. I mean, they have gone into all the high schools in Nebraska and just won everybody over. And like we talked about earlier, that previous staffs just kind of seem to overlook a lot of the in-state guys. I mean, mainly because they expected them to come here. And if not offered a scholarship, they were expected to walk on. But, we all know in this day and age of college football, you're not going to go walk on. Not many of the top players are going to go walk on when they have scholarship offers from major Power 5 schools and have now NIL involved with it too. So, yeah, that's the refreshing thing, just to see how Matt Rule has really won over all the coaches and ADs of all the high schools in the state.
Mike says we need Mark to move to Nebraska to cover football full time. That's very nice of you, Mike.
You can stay in my basement, Mark.
Well, I'm sure it's quite the plush accommodations, but I would have to think that over. We'd have to agree on the rent price.
You'd have your own bathroom and your own bedroom. So there you go. How
okay. About there's that.
And about 8 TVs down in the basement.
8 TVs. Well, that would work out on a Saturday. That's for sure. Our buddy Justin is asking if there is any news about Gatlin Bear. Do you have anything there on that front? Official visit recently?
I think I did see something about that. I'd have to double check, but there was some news here that I was kind of overlooking about some of these guys trying to come for their officials. But no, I'm sorry that I'm not up to date on that one. Sorry, Justin.
Now, I got to say, you don't see this very often. This Gatlin Bear is out of Idaho, and he's a top 10 wide receiver, and he's a top 35-40 national player out of Idaho.
Hey, man, they come from everywhere nowadays.
You don't see that one very often.
No, you don't, really. I mean, that just has got to tell you that he's a freak athlete. I mean, you see a few guys come out of Montana, but yeah, you're right. You don't think of a lot that come out of Idaho. And
a top 35 player?
Right.
Wow.
I can't recall ever seeing that before, now that I think about it.
He's got,
And usually, a guy like that would usually be locked into Boise State. So that's intriguing. I'll have to look into him.
He's got a Nebraska offer, obviously. Washington State, Wisconsin, UCLA, Oregon State, Miami, Georgia, BYU, Cal, Alabama, Arkansas, Boise State, Oregon, Michigan.
He's probably done some eye-opening things in some camps. I can definitely tell you that.
I suppose, because I'm going to just about guarantee that Idaho doesn't have another player that's above a 3-star.
Most likely, but you don't want to make our friends that live in the state of Idaho feel.
Well, there's just not many of them up there, so that's part of their problem. Let's see.
State that I've never been to. I've always wanted to go see that. I only got about 6 of them that I've never been to, and that's one of them.
Well, last year they had 1 4-star in the state. They had a top 100 player who went to Oregon, Kenyon Sadiq, and they didn't have another player ranked. And the rankings go to about 1,500. So there you go. That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if you can get them, go for it. Probably doesn't help or doesn't hurt any of that. You got USC and UCLA moving into the Big Ten after this year too, so kind of waters down those Pac-12 schools that would usually recruit an Idaho kid.
Yeah, all these Idaho kids from last season's recruiting class that aren't even ranked, nationally ranked. They're ranked at their position, but they're all going to a few to Boise State, Kansas State, Stanford, but then just about everybody else, an Air Force, a BYU, but just about all of them are going to Idaho. Out of all of them, yeah. Interesting. All right, folks, we have run through all the commitments that came in the last 6-7 days here for the Huskers. Leave those comments and questions. We will get to them. If there is anything else that you guys have for us to run down, is there anything else coming up this weekend that we should be looking out for?
Well, I mean, outside of that Carter Nelson announcement, everything's kind of winding down. As this dead period is about to start up. So, I mean, you'll still have a few kids come in, trickle in here and there, but not a whole heck of a lot else going on.
So this Gatlin Bear is the only 4-star in the state, and he's got to be a fringe 5-star. He's the 36th rated player in the country overall. But anyway,
right outside, yeah.
Yeah, the rest of them, none of them are ranked nationally, and there's only 8 guys on the board. One chose Washington State, and the other one, I don't even know what. Montana. One's going to Montana. Yeah, there's just not that many players in those states.
No, not a lot of population. Still produce, guys. I do want to, we did have some sad news in the Husker Nation.
Oh, yes.
Darren Diedrich passed away after a battle with cancer. Former I-back. First Canadian-born scholarship player that played at Nebraska. But, that was sad news to hear.
Yeah, I saw that. Sure was. And played in the CFL, right?
Yeah, he played in the NFL for a couple of years, then had a really good career back up in the CFL. Yep. Big bruise and eye back. He was fun to watch.
Yeah. Kyle says if Matt Rule does not make a bowl game this year, how many commits decommit, and what do you guys think will happen at Rule's perception in the state? Man, he's already counting out a bad season. It's already.
That's hard to say. You're trying to look into a crystal ball. Basically, we haven't even been to the fall camp yet. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, if they don't make a bowl game, you're going to see guys change their mind. That happens every time. So, yeah, it just depends on what guys believe and how the season unfolds, and you never know the outcome. And right now, everybody's kind of thinking that they got the type of momentum that they can be a bowl team, and obviously Matt Rule believes that, and his staff believes that. So we'll have to see. That's a hard question to answer right now when we're still in June. Obviously, right now you just keep the momentum rolling that you've already got going with this class.
Some people are mentioning, and so I looked up the bad news that's come down here in the last hour, that Ryan Mallett died of a drowning accident off of Florida Beach.
Are you kidding me?
That just came down about an hour ago. Former Arkansas, Michigan quarterback, New England Patriots.
Yeah, actually, I covered him in high school down in Texas. Oh, man, that sucks. I covered him at Nike camps and at the Elite 11. Wow.
He just recently accepted a position as the head football coach at Whitehall High School in Arkansas.
Really? Wow. And he drowned.
Yeah.
Huh. Is that one of the riptides that they're having in Florida?
Maybe. Could be, with all the weather they've had.
Saw that on the news. Yeah, it was on CNN about the riptides killing like 12 people. Wow. I don't know how a riptide is going to take that. He was 6'6".
Yeah, big guy. Yeah, there you go.
That's too bad. Covered him at the Florida Nike camp, too. Wow. Ugh. Interviewed him 2 or 3 times.
7 seasons in the NFL with the Patriots, Ravens, and Texans.
Yep. Just hate to hear news like that. Especially a young guy like that.
Yeah, 35.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Hate to wrap it up on that note, but unless anybody else has anything in the chat,
we'll just give it the death blow for the night.
We will do just that.
Jeez. Pretty sad way.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Huskers Live every week. Bring some friends with you. We see that we've got the most people in the chat right now, so you know what that means. You can watch what you missed when the video posts here almost immediately, and then make it back here next Tuesday, and we'll do it all again, and hopefully have some more good news concerning Nebraska football, not concerning the other thing that we had to talk about with 2 deaths. Sure don't want any more of that, but the pursuits by Matt Rule have been impressive.
No they really have. I mean, I tried to say, look for, this was last week. I was saying, look for another big recruiting weekend, and I think it exceeded my expectations. So, I mean, to get your class up to 20 already, that's pretty impressive in my book.
Folks, we actually, as you see in the banner there, we've got a Texas show that's going on right now as well. You can follow that on the main channel. Texas show going on right now. And I've got more work to do tonight, but that's it for the live streams. We'll be back tomorrow for sure with next up, Ohio State at 11 a.m. Eastern time. That's on Wednesday. Right, Greg, thanks for making this happen.
Hey, no problem. Enjoyed it.
See y'all back next week.